Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meetinghouse of Provincetown, where we affirm the inherent worthiness and dignity of every person, and where we support each other on our spiritual search for truth and meaning. My name is Rev Kate Wilkinson, and I am so glad that you have joined us this morning. Welcome to those of you in the room, and welcome also to those of you joining us online via our live stream. Before we begin our worship service, I have just a few announcements to share. First, I want to share a celebration. Last week, Don James, who has been on the kidney transplant waiting list for over 7 years, received a match and had a successful transplant surgery. He says, "Thank you for the life-saving gift of a kidney. It unfortunately came from another person whose light went out, but because of that, mine was rekindled. Thank you for your support and encouragement." And I'm adding, please consider becoming an organ donor. Thank you to everyone who attended our Talk Soup last week, both in person and online. We talked a little bit about stewardship and what it means to take care of this place and this community and our ministry to the wider world. This was the kickoff to our 2025 pledge season, which is one of the ways that we raise money to support the UU Meetinghouse of Provincetown. If you are a member and have not yet filled out your 2025 pledge cards, you can find them downstairs on the welcome table or on our website, uumh.org. Thank you so much for dreaming of next year with us. A reminder that tomorrow night is our new member class, which will be held on Zoom from 5 to 7 o'clock. If you've signed up for that, look for the Zoom link tomorrow in your email, and don't forget to send in your new member bio cards along with a picture of yourself. This Wednesday at noon is our book discussion of Tracy Kidder's Rough Sleepers. If you've read that, or even if you haven't quite finished it yet, please join us for the discussion. Let me know if you're coming, though, because we are ordering pizza. Thursday afternoon, all are welcome to join us at the Trunk or Treat Halloween celebration that the Provincetown Recreation Department puts on for the children in our town. We will be hosting a trunk with an Under the Sea theme. If you want to come at 3:15 to help us set up, that would be great, or just come at 4 and help give out candy. Please wear blue or green if you can. And I have sea creature headbands for the first dozen of you who show up. Now, even though we have so many fun things planned this week, I know that we are holding all those plans alongside the stress of the upcoming election. The uncertainty is very real and is making many of us feel quite anxious. We have a few things planned so that we can be together at the height of the election stress, and so that we can hold hope together. On election night, November 5th, our Zoom coffee hour will be devoted to holding prayerful space for a safe and peaceful election day. And then on Wednesday, the 6th, we'll be opening up the meeting house from 10 to noon for anyone who wants to drop by. We'll get some bagels and cream cheese if you want to calm yourself with carbs. We'll have some candles and other things for other coping mechanisms. We will not know who won the election at that point, but it will be good to be together. And please mark your calendar for Saturday, November 9th, for the return of our famous chili cook-off. Registration is now open for that. If you want to sign up to make a chili, you can do so at ptownchiliCookoff.com. Finally, if you are here in person today, we hope that you will join us downstairs after the worship service for some coffee and conversation in Acker Bosworth Hall. Let's take a deep breath after all those announcements. Please join me now in affirming our Meetinghouse covenant. You can find this printed on the purple laminated cards in your pews, or I'm going to say it line by line, so you can just repeat each line back to me. Love is the spirit of this meeting house. This is our great covenant. To dwell together in peace. To seek the truth in love. And to help one another. Now, as we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you who are watching from home to light a candle wherever you are. In this way, we can feel connected even while we are apart. And this morning, I invite our worship host, Eden and Vincent, to light our chalice.
Our chalice lighting this morning is by Wendell Berry. The dark around us come. Let us meet here together, members one of another, here in our holy room, here on our little floor, here in the daylit sky, rejoicing mind and eye, rejoining known and knower, light, leaf, foot, hand, and wing. Such order as we know, one household, high and low, and all the earth shall sing. Thank you.
Won't you join me now in our opening hymn, which is number 73 in your gray hymnals, called Chant for the Seasons. Today is all about the changing of the seasons. You'll notice there is a repeat sign on the second line. That just means we do that first line twice each time we go through. Please rise as you are able for hymn number 73, Chant for the Seasons.
Sons, we have
seated. Thank you for journeying through all those seasons with us. And I invite you now to join me in a spirit of meditation and prayer. During the prayer, or at any time during the service, you are invited to light a silent candle at the table to the right of the pulpit, where there is a journal to record your thoughts and prayers. After the prayer, we will sing together again, Spirit of Life. That's hymn number 123. And the words to this song are also printed on the purple laminated cards in your pews. We'll sing it first in English and then in Spanish. Our prayer this morning is by Jess Reynolds from their book, Love Like Thunder. Spirit of life, be with us this autumn. Just as the trees and nights are changing, so too our lives are shifting. Some among us are grieving. We grieve for loved ones, for strangers in war-torn lands, and for parts of our own hearts that do not fit us any longer. We mourn the green leaves and the summer birds, and we mourn the dreams we had that are dying. Spirit of life, do not let us be empty this autumn. Remind us of the life that will flourish come spring, and help us to hold space for the loss that comes first. We cannot resurrect ourselves without letting something in ourselves die. May we gently guard those tender, empty places, and may all the great love of the universe press against our raw edges and our sorrow. Spirit of life, hold us in this season of dying. Hold us in the chill October wind, and among the branches scraped clean, and in the swirling center of migration. May we close our shutters, but not our hearts. And may we gather by the hearth in communion, that we might manage to fill one another with the warmth to make it through the winter. Blessed be.
Our reading this morning is by Barbara Crocker. Sometimes I am startled out of myself. Like this morning when the wild geese came squawking, flapping their rusty hinges, and something about their trek across the sky made me think about my life, the places of brokenness, the places of sorrow, the places where grief has strung me out to dry. And then the geese come calling, the leader falling back when tired, another taking her place. Hope is born on wings. Look at the trees. They turn to gold for a brief while, then lose it all each November. Through the cold months, they stand, take the worst the weather has to offer, and still, they put out shy green leaves come April, come May. The geese glide over the cornfields, land on the pond with its sedges and reeds. You do not have to be wise. Even a goose knows how to find shelter, where the corn still lies in the stubble and dried stalk. All we do is pass through here, the best way we can. They stitch up the sky, and it is whole again.
Thank you. Now is the time when we take a collection for the ongoing support of this meeting house and our shared ministry. As we enjoy a musical reflection by our choir, we welcome your donations here in the sanctuary or online through PayPal or Venmo. You can find that information on our website, uumh.org. I now invite 3 volunteer ushers forward to take up our collection. On and off-site, your offerings will be gratefully received.
the sky. Life has taught me how to fly. For now I know what I can be, and now my heart is flying
Thank you. So there's a song that has been stuck in my head since the summer when I heard the folk duo Fortunate Daughter sing it in the backyard of Preservation Hall in Wellfleet. It's a breakup song by Shaky Graves called Dearly Departed. So I want to share with you the only bit that I remember, but I need your help. It's a clapping part. Your part will go like this. Ooh, I'll step away from that one. Can you do that? Awesome. So in between each of my lines, if I'm oohing or singing, you're gonna go. All right, let's try this. Ooh. Well, you and I both know that the house is haunted. And you and I both know that the ghost is me. Well, you and I both know that the house is haunted. And you and I both know that the ghost is me. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's it. That's all I remember. I'm sure there are more lines than that, but that's what's been stuck in my head. You're welcome. You and I both know that the house is haunted. And you and I both know that the ghost is me. The house is haunted, the ghost is me. I've been thinking about that lately as we prepare for Halloween and this most haunting time of the year. Sometimes the ghosts we live with are not those that have passed away, but rather the ghosts of our past relationships, past decisions, past memories. Do any of you read books by Elizabeth Strout? Yeah, she's so great. She's written a series of books about a character called Olive Kittredge, a stern but perceptive schoolmarm from Crosby, Maine. That one was actually made into a miniseries recently, and Olive is played by Frances McDormand, if you need a visual. And Strout has another series featuring Lucy Barton, a writer with a complicated relationship to her mother and to her past. That one hasn't been made into a movie yet, but there are several books in each series, one featuring Olive and the other Lucy. But in her latest book that I just read, called Tell Me Everything, these two characters from separate series meet. And they share some delicious afternoons together trading stories. Periodically, Olive will decide that she has a story worth telling, and she will summon Lucy Barton, who goes to visit her in the retirement home she is living in. Lucy sits down on the couch, ready to listen. Tell me everything. Here's one of the stories Olive tells. Her father was not her mother's first love, you see. Her first love had been thwarted by the boy's mother, who did not think Olive's mother was good enough for her son. So when my mother died 3 years after my father did, Olive says, she died at Ardell's house, and in her handbag, Olive shifted slightly in her chair and leaned forward. In her handbag, when I went through it, I found a tattered old clipping. It was not in her wallet, but slipped into a little pocket on the inside of her handbag that zipped shut, a newspaper clipping. Now back then, at that time, when someone of so-called importance came to town, there would be a silly little newspaper article about it. And this clipping was dated from back when my mother would have been married about 7 years and already had her 2 daughters, me and my sister Isa. And the clipping was this: a small newspaper article in the Shirley Falls Journal with a photograph saying that Dr. Stephen Turner, son of blah, 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 and the late blah, blah, Mr. Turner, and his wife Ruth had come to town with their daughters. Stephen Turner was a doctor in Boston. His wife Ruth was the daughter of some hoity-toity in the Boston area, and they also had 2 very small girls who were also in the photograph. The girls' names were Olive and Isa. Olive waited. Then Lucy said, "Oh my God," and Olive nodded her head. Lucy began tapping her knees together, and she looked around the room, her hands on the sofa. "Oh my God," she repeated, looking at Olive now. And again, Olive gave a small nod. Yep," Olive said. Remember, she's from Maine. "So your mother kept that clipping her whole life?" She did. "And his kids have the same names as you and your sister?" "That's right." Lucy shook her head slowly. "So your mother and Stephen Turner must have spoken of the names they wanted to call their kids." "Well, I did wonder about that," Olive said. "You should wonder about that," Lucy sat forward. "It couldn't possibly be a coincidence. The names are too unique." One of Lucy's hands moved as she said slowly, with a sense of wonder, "They talked with each other about what to name their kids." And of course, Ruth, the man's wife, never knew that. No woman would name her kids the same names that her husband had planned to name his children with a previous girlfriend. "Well, that is what I thought." But Lucy continued, "So for the rest of their married lives, they were never in touch, your mother and Dr. Stephen Turner?" "Oh, no, I don't think so. Nope. No, I don't think that was ever part of the story." Lucy nodded. "Probably not." Lucy sat back and looked straight in front of her. And then she looked down at her hands. And finally, when she looked back at Olive, her eyes were very red. And then tears came out of her eyes. Tears. "Now, why is this making you cry?" Olive really wanted to know. "Because it's a sad story." "Well, it's an interesting story, at least to me." "Mrs. Kittredge, this is a sad story." Olive looked out the window again. Yes, I guess it is. It's sad because your mother and this Stephen fellow, they were really in love. They were young and deeply in love, talking about what to name their kids, and this mother breaks them up, and they never forget each other. So the whole time your mother is married to your father, every time he does something she doesn't like, she thinks of Stephen and how wonderful he would have been in that situation. And Stephen's wife, Ruth, the same thing, probably. Every time she disappointed him, he would think of his pretty and cheerful Sarah and what a life together they might have had. So both these couples lived their entire lives with these ghosts in the room. And that is sad. Sad for everybody. But especially for your father and Ruth, who didn't even know they were living with these ghosts. Lucy was no longer crying, but she wiped her nose with a tissue. Well, that's the story, Olive said. I always wanted to tell someone, but for whatever reasons, I didn't. Lucy said contemplatively, I wonder how many people in long marriages live with ghosts beside them. And now that question is stuck in my head too, like the song. You're welcome. How many people in long marriages live with ghosts beside them? Unresolved memories that interfere with the current day. Except that it's not just in marriages, is it? We're all haunted by something. A song can haunt us. Our ex-relationships can haunt us. Our regrets can haunt us. Our unlived out dreams and ambitions can haunt us. The theologies of our growing up years can haunt us. All the life's what-ifs can haunt us. And sometimes these ghosts, they get in the way of living. What are we carrying around in the zipped pouches of our hearts? And what power do they have over us? It may feel sometimes like we have no control over our ghosts. The past is the past. We can't change it. But it turns out that how we tell the story matters more than what actually happened. And we tell the story not with our hearts, but with the neural pathways in our minds. The more we dwell on sad memories or regrets, for instance, the more we reinforce them in our brains. Synapses, the connections between neurons, get more sensitive, and new neurons grow when activated repeatedly together, as happens when recalling a memory over and over. Thus the haunting. But I'm comforted here by some brain science that I've learned recently. Because of neuroplasticity, we actually have the capacity to change the power that our haunting memories have over us. We can learn to remember things in a slightly different way by building different connections in our brains. Neuroplasticity or brain plasticity is the ability of the networks in our brains to change through growth and reorganization. So even if we don't forget a memory, we can soften it by adding new thoughts to it that can be recalled alongside the initial memory. Even with hard childhood memories, our adult selves can insert self-forgiveness, tenderness, appreciation for our resilience and survival skills. And that can make our memories less haunting. You know, the story Olive's mother hung on to all those years was, I had a great love in my youth, and he was torn away from me, and I will never love fully again. But what if it was, I had a great love in my youth, and he was torn away from me, and it was so hard for my young self, and I have such deep compassion for her. And that experience has taught me to love fiercely in the moment, because you never know how long you'll have with someone. And so that is what I do now, love fiercely in the moment. Same memory, different story. Debbie Hampton didn't think that her bad memories and regrets would ever leave her. She had suffered from depression for decades and had even attempted at one point to take her own life, at which point her children were taken away from her. She spent all her energy remembering the past and her mistakes, and those negative memories and emotions controlled her life. The more depressed I got, the darker my memories became, she says. It took her a long time to learn about the brain, to learn that the reverse is also true. She had made the memories stronger and sadder, and she could make them weaker and more loving. Through mindfulness and meditation, she learned to become aware of and take control of her thoughts. By realizing and working with my subconscious influences, Debbie says, and consciously choosing which ones I allowed to impact me and intentionally inserting new ones, I changed my past. Not literally, of course, but by pairing more positive thoughts and emotions with negative memories and feelings and modifying my perspective about the past events, I changed the way I experienced them in the present. With repetition, she says, this practice altered the memories and neural paths in my brain. She didn't forget. She just remembered in a more gentle, more forgiving way. She retold her story to herself with all the new knowledge she had gained through her healing. And now, she is telling her story to others. And that is healing too. What I loved about the book, Tell Me Everything, was the recurring theme that speaking our stories aloud allows us to process them in new ways. Bringing them out of the zippered pockets of our hearts douses them with sunlight, and they grow lighter, easier to carry. They are less haunting in the light. Over and over in the book, stories were told, and the ghosts lost their hold. This week, children will be dressing up as ghosts and goblins, inhabiting the things that scare them as a way to take away their power. And all around us, the natural world is offering us its haunting fall landscape. The trees, once covered in green, now shine bright with oranges and reds. And at their drying edges, grow brown and brittle, let go, become bare. But that is not the end of their story. In another season, they too will be building new pathways, pressing life energies from their roots into distant branches, greening again, reaching for the light. For now, though, they let their leaves fall. It requires a gentleness, this letting go of ghosts, this letting go of old stories, this retelling of our stories, this moving forward, this embrace of the living. Julia Feurenbacher writes, "When this living breaks your heart, steals your plans, when you miss the holy of here, thinking something brighter is over there, when there is no denying how precious, how precarious this aliveness is, let yourself break again and again. Let the cool, almost autumn breeze blow all the way in. Let the fading light, the falling leaf, show you how short it is, this life, how feather fine the line. And then blow infinite kisses of kindness to every dying living thing, yourself included, always yourself included. Whoever you think you are does not even come close. You are big enough to hold every break, every ache, every dark cloud, every twinkling star too. Let the leaf fall. Watch now. Watch how life catches you. Friends, all we do is pass through here the best way we can. May we be present to our living, present to each other, present to the gift of the changing season and to the letting go. On Thursday, Halloween, may we celebrate our ghosts. And then, when it is over, may we take our place among the living. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you to sing our closing hymn together. It's in the teal hymnal this time. It's number 1068, Rising Green. That's number 1068 in the teal hymnals, Rising Green. Please rise as you are able.
Sky, the
be seated.
It has become our practice to pose a question based on the theme of the service each week. It can be a topic of sharing at coffee hour today or with your friends during the week. If you'd like to delve deeper into this topic, we invite you to our midweek coffee hour on Zoom on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. If you are not on our email folk list and you need that Zoom link, please let Kenneth in the office know. Our question this week is, what helps you to let go of the things that haunt you? Again, what helps you to let go of the things that haunt you?
Thank you for being here this morning. I'll end with these closing words. Sometimes I am startled out of myself, like this morning when the wild geese came squawking, flapping their rusty hinges, and something about their trek across the sky made me think about my life, the places of brokenness, the places of sorrow, the places where grief had strung me out to dry. And then the geese come calling. All we do is pass through here the best way we can. They stitch up the sky, and it is whole again. May it be so. Go in peace.